The young and the restless spoilers in the glittering yet treacherous world of Genoa City, ambition often danced with deceit, a duet that had long defined the fate of the Winters family. Among its members, Lily stood out, not for her accomplishments, but for her relentless drive and reckless decisions. Known as a woman with grand ambitions, Lily had earned a notorious reputation for her series of foolish yet audacious actions. Her behavior left few in her wake willing to accept her as a respectable member of the family. Nevertheless, beneath the veneer of imprudence lay a cunning mind determined to secure her place in the legacy of the Winters' fortune. Lily's latest scheme revolved around Damian, the younger brother of Nate Winters. While Nate, the steadfast elder, cared little for the trappings of wealth, believing that the true value of family lay in unity and support, others in Genoa City viewed money and assets as the ultimate power. Damian, with his quiet demeanor and untapped potential, was seen by many as destined to inherit a portion of the family fortune. Yet Lily was convinced that his inheritance would not come by chance alone, it needed to be claimed and nurtured by someone who understood the art of leverage. And who better than her, she reasoned, to mold and guide him into the realm of calculated ambition. For Lily, the plan was simple: seduce Damian with her classic beauty and charm, then teach him how to stake his rightful claim on the Winters' fortune. In her mind, this was not just about wealth, it was about empowerment. "He deserves to know the real rules of the game," she would often murmur, as if imparting a secret that could transform him into a formidable force within the family. To her, money was a means of asserting dominance and proving oneself in a world where every asset was a weapon. Lily's intentions, however, were not entirely pure. They were tainted by a hunger to reshape the family dynamics, ensuring that the Winters' name would be etched in power through a cunning alliance with someone who could be manipulated. Damian, drawn to Lily's strikingly classic beauty and the aura of confidence she exuded, found himself inexplicably captivated by her. Her allure was undeniable, and for a fleeting moment, the promise of grandeur seemed to shimmer before him like a mirage. Against the backdrop of his own uncertainty about his future, Damian made the fateful decision to stay in Genoa City instead of returning to Los Angeles to pursue his career. It was a choice that rippled through the fabric of the Winters family, setting off a chain of events that would test loyalties and unmask hidden agendas. Yet, not everyone was blind to Lily's machinations. Amy and Audra, sharp, intuitive, and fiercely protective of family values, quickly saw through the layers of Lily's devious plot. They recognized that her intentions were less about empowering Damian and more about subverting Nate's vision of familial unity. For Nate, the idea of having a loyal, supportive younger brother by his side was far more appealing than having one who would merely fight over a slice of the family pie. Nate's life had been built on the principles of compassion and solidarity. Money, to him, was never the measure of a man's worth. In contrast, Lily's eyes glinted with the allure of power, a power that could only be gained by tearing down the very foundations that Nate held dear. As Lily wove her web of seduction and manipulation, Devon, Nate's own brother, found himself exasperated by his troublesome sister. Her stubbornness and reckless disregard for the consequences of her actions not only tarnished the reputation of the Winters family but also threatened to upend the delicate balance of trust that had been painstakingly built over generations. Devon's frustration grew with each passing day, as he watched Lily's schemes spiral out of control, putting both family honor and unity at risk. "She's always been a rotten element," he would grumble, his tone a mix of sorrow and anger. "Her ambition blinds her to the truth. That family isn't something you can force into submission with promises of wealth." Amid the rising tensions, Damian found himself caught in a maelstrom of conflicting emotions. Lily's seductive charm and promises of empowerment were intoxicating, yet a nagging doubt tugged at the corners of his mind. Could it be that Lily's vision for him was merely a ploy to secure a greater share of the Winters' legacy? Was he merely a pawn in a dangerous game of power and deceit? Each time he looked into Lily's eyes, a part of him believed that she offered him the chance to claim something greater than what fate had allotted him, a chance to break free from mediocrity and step into a realm where wealth and influence reigned supreme. The days turned into weeks as Lily's influence over Damian grew. She took him under her wing, teaching him the art of negotiation, the subtle manipulation of social dynamics, and the ruthless pursuit of what was rightfully his. In private, away from prying eyes and the prying judgments of the family, she whispered secrets of the business world and laid out elaborate plans for him to assert his claim. "It's not enough to simply wait for your inheritance," she would say, her voice low and persuasive. "You must seize it with both hands and make the world bow to your will." However, the more deeply Damian was drawn into Lily's orbit, the more apparent it became that her ambitions were not aligned with his best interests. Amy and Audra, steadfast in their loyalty to Nate and the true spirit of the Winters family, began to mobilize behind the scenes. They were determined to help Nate thwart Lily's advances and protect Damian from being led astray. Their investigation revealed layers of deceit and manipulation that shocked even the most jaded observers of Genoa City's cutthroat power plays. Amy, known for her sharp wit and unwavering moral compass, convened secret meetings with Audra. "We can't let Lily poison our family any further," Amy insisted, her eyes burning with a fierce determination. "Nate needs a brother by his side, a partner, not a rival fueled by greed." Audra, ever the voice of reason, nodded in agreement. "We must show Damian that there is a different path, a way to honor the family's legacy without compromising who he truly is," she added. As the tension escalated, Nate himself began to sense that something was amiss. Although he had always maintained a detached stance toward wealth, the fractures within his family were becoming too deep to ignore. He recalled the warmth and sincerity that once defined their gatherings, long before ambition and treachery had seeped into every conversation. With a heavy heart, he resolved that he would not let the darkness of greed overshadow the light of familial unity. Yet Lily, ever the schemer, continued to tighten her grip on Damian's ambitions. She painted a picture of a future where wealth and power would liberate him from the constraints of an ordinary life, a future where he would be the architect of his own destiny. The allure of such a promise proved too tempting for Damian to resist. He found himself increasingly torn between the seductive call of ambition and the enduring values of family loyalty that echoed in the voices of Amy, Audra, and Nate. In quiet moments of reflection, Damian questioned whether Lily's promises were the keys to true empowerment or merely the shackles of manipulation. The allure of wealth and recognition was undeniable, yet a gnawing sense of unease began to overshadow his every thought. Am I truly ready to sacrifice my family's legacy for a handful of dollars and empty promises? He wondered, pacing alone in the quiet solitude of his room as twilight bled into the long, uncertain night. The brewing conflict came to a head during an extravagant family dinner, a gathering that was meant to celebrate unity but quickly turned into a battleground of ideologies. Nate, with his unassuming dignity, spoke passionately about the importance of togetherness and the bonds that money could never mend. His words resonated deeply with those who still believed in the old ways of loyalty and trust. Yet, just as Nate's impassioned speech filled the room with hope, Lily's eyes flickered with calculated defiance. She interjected with a poised yet biting remark that sent a ripple of tension through the gathered guests. "Unity is all well and good," Lily declared, her tone measured and cool, "but one must also know how to claim what is rightfully theirs. Without the will to assert oneself, even the purest ideals are doomed to be trampled by the harsh realities of the world." Her words, laced with both charm and venom, left an uneasy silence in their wake. Damian sat there, visibly torn, his gaze darting between the comforting sincerity of Nate and the alluring promise in Lily's eyes. The dinner ended in a swirl of murmurs and uncertain glances. Outside, in the quiet corridors of the Winters estate, Amy and Audra convened once again, their expressions etched with worry. They resolved to take every measure necessary to reveal Lily's true colors to Damian before it was too late. "We must protect him," Amy whispered, the weight of responsibility heavy in her voice. "He is at a crossroads, and if he chooses the path of ambition over the legacy of our family's love, the consequences could be devastating." As the days passed, the battle for Damian's loyalty intensified. Lily's relentless charm warred against the steadfast devotion of those who cherished the true meaning of family. In a final twist of fate, Damian began to see through the facade that Lily had so carefully constructed. The realization that her lessons were less about empowering him and more about using him as a pawn in her own ruthless game of power left him reeling. Torn between the seductive lure of wealth and the undeniable pull of family bonds, Damian stood on the precipice of a life-altering decision. Would he succumb to Lily's manipulative ways, allowing his ambitions to be exploited for her gain? Or would he choose the more arduous but ultimately rewarding path of loyalty to Nate, a commitment to building a family founded on trust, unity, and the values that money could never buy? Only time would reveal the true cost of ambition in the turbulent corridors of the winter's legacy. In the end, as the sun rose over Genoa City casting long shadows over both opulent halls and humble rooms alike, one undeniable truth emerged: ambition, when left unchecked by compassion and integrity, has the power to corrode even the strongest bonds of kinship. And in that bittersweet dawn, as Damian faced the mirror of his own conflicted soul, the question lingered in the cool morning air, a question of whether he would allow Lily's ambition to define his destiny, or if he would reclaim the rightful honor of being Nate's devoted brother, forging a future that celebrated both wealth and the enduring strength of family. This narrative captures the turbulent interplay between ambition, family loyalty, and manipulation, painting a vivid picture of how Lily's cunning influence threatens to upend the delicate balance of the Winters family. The unfolding drama leaves us to wonder, in the end, how will Damian navigate the treacherous waters of deceit and desire, and will Lily ultimately exploit him for her own twisted gain? In the glittering corridors of Genoa City's high society, the stakes had never been higher. The intricate web of family loyalties, bitter resentments, and forbidden ambitions had once again ensnared the Winters clan, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams and fractured bonds. At the center of this tumultuous storm stood Damian, long overshadowed by his half-brother Nate's legacy, and Lily, a cunning and ambitious force determined to reshape their family's future to suit her own dark desires. For years, the Winters family had been defined by its immense wealth and the complex dynamics that came with it. Nate, a man of gentle principles who had always valued love and unity above material possessions, had unexpectedly been handed the entire vast fortune after their father's passing. The decision was meant to safeguard the family's future, but it inadvertently sowed the seeds of discontent. Damian, Nate's half-brother born of a different union, watched with a mix of envy and disbelief as the inheritance was funneled into Nate's hands. Though not illegitimate in any legal sense, Damian's exclusion from the family fortune gnawed at him, an injustice that seemed impossible to overlook. It wasn't long before Damian decided he had had enough. Determined to reclaim what he believed was rightfully his, he filed a lawsuit in the local court, demanding his share of the inheritance left by his father. His case was built on the cold, hard facts of family law. He was, after all, a blood relative, even if he was the half-brother that Nate had never expected to see inherit nothing. As the legal proceedings began, the courtroom became a battleground where every word, every piece of evidence, was a weapon aimed at unmasking the true nature of the family's legacy. The media buzzed with rumors and speculations, each headline fanning the flames of an already volatile situation. Behind the scenes, however, a more insidious plan was unfolding. Lily, whose ambitions were as boundless as they were misguided, had been working in the shadows to manipulate the unfolding drama. Known for her reckless actions and controversial decisions, she had long been regarded as the black sheep of the Winters family, a member whose behavior was so erratic that few could ever accept her presence. Now, Lily's devious intentions took on a darker hue. She was determined to transform Damian into a symbol of greed and avarice, a pawn to further her own schemes of power. Her plan was as subtle as it was malicious. By encouraging Damian's bitterness and resentment, she hoped to drive a wedge between him and the rest of the family, ensuring that reconciliation was not even a distant possibility. Lily's influence over Damian grew gradually, her every word laced with a calculated charm that obscured her true motives. "You deserve better," she would whisper in quiet moments away from prying eyes, her voice a mix of tenderness and steel. "Why should Nate alone enjoy what our father left behind? You have the right to demand your share, to stand up and claim what is yours." Under her guidance, Damian's initial pangs of hurt transformed into a burning desire for retribution and power. Unbeknownst to him, every step he took towards self-empowerment was a step further into Lily's labyrinth of manipulation. For Lily, the allure of turning Damian into a greedy, vindictive figure was irresistible. She envisioned a future where Damian, intoxicated by ambition and the lure of wealth, would become an adversary not just to Nate, but to the very essence of family unity. In her twisted mind, the success of her plan meant that she could sever the familial bonds that had once tethered the Winters together, replacing them with a legacy built on ruthless individualism and cold, calculated gain. Family unity is overrated, she would argue, dismissing the heartfelt values that Nate held dear. In this world, power is what matters, and I'm here to ensure that you grasp it, no matter the cost. Nate, the unintentional victim of these machinations, could only watch in disbelief as his family unraveled before his eyes. The man who had always believed in reconciliation and togetherness now found himself caught in a bitter struggle against forces that threatened to tear his family apart. His anger simmered beneath a calm exterior, every injustice a reminder of the betrayal he felt not just from fate, but from those he once trusted implicitly. The lawsuit filed by Damian was not just a legal challenge, it was a clarion call for the dismantling of everything Nate had worked so hard to preserve. In a moment of seething fury, Nate resolved to confront the one person he held responsible for exacerbating the situation, Lily. In a fit of rage, he planned an impulsive attack, a physical manifestation of his desire to teach her a lesson. However, fate intervened. Before Nate could act on his impulse, the situation proved too complex, and the legal and familial consequences too daunting. His plan to lash out was thwarted, leaving him with nothing but a profound sense of impotence. "You're poisoning everything," he shouted at Lily in a heated confrontation, his eyes blazing with the intensity of his disappointment and anger. Family should never be torn apart by greed and malice. But Lily remained unfazed. With a cool, calculated smile, she dismissed Nate's accusations as mere emotional outbursts. "I haven't done anything wrong," she retorted, her tone almost disarming in its calmness. "I'm simply helping Damian see the truth. In this toxic love for power, you are all blinded by outdated notions of loyalty. I'm doing what's necessary for our future, helping my boyfriend and, by extension, ensuring that the legacy of our family evolves into something more formidable." Her words, though seemingly benign, carried the unmistakable weight of a twisted ideology that valued ambition over empathy, manipulation over unity. As the legal battle loomed on the horizon, the tension within the Winters family reached a fever pitch. In the sterile environment of the courthouse, Damian's claim was met with equal parts skepticism and hidden sympathy. Legal experts debated the merits of his case, weighing his bloodline against the spirit of the inheritance, while family members exchanged furtive glances laden with both hope and dread. Was this the moment when the truth of their father's legacy would finally be unearthed? Or was it merely another chapter in a saga marred by ambition and betrayal? Outside the courtroom, the streets of Genoa City buzzed with whispers of scandal and conspiracy. Nate's supporters rallied behind him, their faith in his vision of familial love and solidarity unwavering, even in the face of such blatant manipulation. Meanwhile, Lily's influence, though growing, was met with an undercurrent of resistance from those who recognized her for what she truly was, a divisive force intent on corrupting the purity of family bonds for her own selfish ends. Amy and Audra, ever vigilant protectors of the family's integrity, spearheaded their own covert efforts to counteract Lily's devious plot. Meeting in hushed tones in the quiet corners of the family estate, they devised plans to expose Lily's true intentions to Damian before it was too late. "We must show him that this isn't about empowerment," Amy urged one evening, her voice laced with urgency. "It's about turning him into someone he's not, someone who will never know the true meaning of family." Audra nodded in agreement, her resolve hardening with each passing day. "We can't allow this toxic love, this poisonous ambition, to ruin everything Nate has built. Our family deserves better." Caught between the conflicting voices of ambition and loyalty, Damian's inner turmoil reached a critical juncture. Every day, he wrestled with the seductive pull of Lily's promises and the comforting, if less glamorous, vision of a unified family that Nate embodied. In the quiet solitude of his study, with legal documents and family photographs strewn about, he often wondered if the pursuit of wealth and recognition was worth the inevitable price, the disintegration of the only family he had ever known. As the trial date approached, the tension reached an almost unbearable climax. In the charged atmosphere of the courtroom, every witness and piece of evidence was scrutinized under the unyielding glare of public and familial judgment.